Perl tutorial part 89, subroutine prototypes. We use prototypes with subroutines to tell the subroutine what types of arguments to expect and how many arguments to expect. It's a way to make sure our subroutines are performing properly. So let's create a subroutine. A simple subroutine called doIt. We're going to load in a variable and we'll call that string, and that will equal our default. Now let's uppercase that string. Say result equals doIt, and our argument is some text, and let's print our result. We uppercase our text and print it out. Now, a prototype is a pair of brackets that we can put here. Because our argument is a scalar variable, we can tell our subroutine to expect to receive a scalar variable. So let's run this. We get some text. If we tell our subroutine to expect to receive two variables when we're only going to give it one, we get an error. Okay, so let's copy this down . Let's call this doIt2. Now let's feed our subroutine two variables, and let's pop in a second variable name. And let's say string equals uppercase string, and string 2 equals lowercase string 2. And then let's print our strings. Now let's add a second argument. Then we can just remove this and remove this, and let's run this subroutine. Okay, so our first string gets uppercased and our second gets lowercased. If we tell our subroutine to expect one argument but it receives two, we get an error. Now let's copy this down . And change this to doIt3. Now let's keep this as it is. I'll just put a full stop in here. Now we can tell our subroutine to optionally expect a second argument. So we do have two arguments, so when we run this will run perfectly. Some text, more text. Now, since the second argument is optional, if it's not there at all, it won't mind. And we just have some text. So let's create a subroutine to act upon an array called doIt4, and this will act upon an array. Okay, we'll put our variables in here. Let's have three variables, var1, var2, var3, and let's operate on each variable. And just copy this down a couple times. So we'll lowercase the first one and uppercase the second and third variable, and then we'll print our variables out. Let's create our array that we're going to feed into our subroutine called strings. Although they're not really strings, they're just little words. TV, radio, web. And let's say doIt4 to our array called strings. TV, radio, and web. TV is lowercased, and the other two are uppercased. If we tell the subroutine to expect to receive a variable, it just prints out the number of things in the array. Well, let's copy this down. Let's call this doIt5. Now let's remove these three lines here. This time we're going to create a variable and an array. So let's put in a variable and an array. And our variable is going to be a number. So let's call that num. And keep our three variables, and we're going to print out our variables multiplied by num times. So now let's come down here, make a variable called number equals 3. Let's create some new words, say cat doIt5, and we've got two arguments, so our number, comma, and our array. Get cat, dog, horse 3 times. If we don't specify to the subroutine it will be receiving an array, we get an error. So that's the basis of subroutine prototypes.